depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, well, you know how I showed you that new Gardevoir the other day, and I said, hey, this new Gardevoir looks genuinely good. We have got a legitimate, viable Stage 2, and for what it's worth, I absolutely stand by Gardevoir being a genuinely, legitimately awesome Stage 2. Well, it turns out what I told you the other day was only half the story. Now we've seen all the cards from the set, it turns out there's actually a Kirlia and a Gallade that we need to have a little bit of a chat about as well, because they actually take this Gardevoir we looked at the other day and somehow put it on an even higher level, which is frankly a little bit ridiculous. Now, we are going to start off with the Kirlia here, because that is what really makes it all come together. Now, in terms of the basics, there really isn't too much to worry about. 80 HP is low, but you're in evolving Stage 1. We do like the retreat cost of 1, that's quite nice, that's quite low. Weakness to metals, largely irrelevant. You will take a hit from Duraludon, that has seen a bit of play in metal decks here and there, though has fallen out of favour more lately. And having only 80 HP does actually mean that you can be grabbed with Level Ball, so that's rather nice. But really, the reason we like Kirlia here is because it's got an attack which is, I mean, to put it bluntly, bloomin' awesome. At the risk of sounding a little bit more Cornish than I planned to then. What it does is, for a single Psychic Energy, you search your deck for up to 3 Kirlia and put them onto your bench. And this is absolutely huge. Now, it's not the first time we've ever seen something like this, of course. It is the Water Duplicate's Frogadier that we saw way back in Breakpoint. And you know what? Frogadier really helped. And that is exactly what we've got here, and it is absolutely brilliant. It essentially means if you go first, have your turn, don't do much, opponent has a turn, and then turn 2, evolve, single energy, and then you will have, assuming none of them are prized, all 4 Kirlia. Now, you're leaving an 80 HP Kirlia in the active, you're probably getting KO'd. Okay. It's not ideal, but you're giving up 1 prize. It happens. And then from there, you can just evolve up to 3 Gardevoir / Gallade the following turn. That sounds very, very good to me. And do remember, right, when we're talking about going down a prize, we've got stuff like Bruno. That's the shove your hand into your deck and draw 7 cards if you had a Pokemon KO the previous turn. So you can make this work to your advantage. You can play one of those supporters that is actually dependent on having a Pokemon KO the previous turn, and either you did have a Pokemon KO'd, so you've got 3 Kirlia out and then you're getting a new hand of 7. Sounds alright to me. Or you don't have a Pokemon KO'd and you've got 4 Kirlia out, and then you try and play someone like a Professor's Research, etc. instead. This is awesome. It makes Gardevoir a bazillion times better, but it also makes Gallade better. Hey, hang on a second. Shouldn't we talk about this Gallade? Yes, we should. Now, if we start off having a little bit of a look at the basics here, we've got 170 HP, which is on the higher end for a Stage 2, which is kind of nice. We got a retreat cost of 2, which isn't terribly low, but we've always got Air Balloon to give ourselves free retreat here, or at least until rotation in 2022. So that's not bad. We've then got a weakness to Psychic, and weakness to Psychic's a weird one, because with Mewtwo and Mew rotating out shortly after Chilling Reign, that's the set this is going to be in, comes out, Mewtwo and Mew goes away, and Psychic decks aren't that good. But Rapid Strike Urshifu is looking like an absolute beast, which is going to make people want to play Psychic, which is going to hit you for weakness. But then again, you've also got Gardevoir, who's got a different weakness, so you can cover yourself in that way. And you're a fighting type, which means you're hitting weakness on stuff like Crobat, which is pretty gosh darn nice. It's generally a pretty good weakness to be hitting. We like it a lot. But what does it do? Well, the first attack for 1 Psychic Energy does 60 damage and is not affected by resistance. And it's one of these where we generally just go, nah, nobody really cares. Not in a mean way, but just in a kind of, it doesn't really matter. Like, there will be times you want to use it, but generally speaking, 60 HP is going to be too low. I do really appreciate the fact that Gallade does not need any fighting energy despite being a fighting Pokemon. It means that Gardevoir Gallade, and that is a phrase that will be very familiar to players that were around in the Diamond and Pearl era, and even a little bit earlier, to be honest with you. It just makes it so much easier. It means you can legitimately just play Psychic Energy, and that is rather lovely. And 60 damage isn't great. And honestly, most of the time, 70 is what you really want to be hitting. That's what most evolved Pokemon have at the moment. But it's all right as a backup attack. The main attack we want here is 2 colorless energy. This attack does 60 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon V in play. Now this I like a lot, but we've kind of got to start out already pointing out that this is just a phenomenal counter to Eternatus. Now at this stage, I'm not sure if we need any more counters to Eternatus. We've just seen that Galarian Zapdos is going to be a phenomenal counter to Eternatus. Well, here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go again. Because make no mistake about it, this will destroy Eternatus. Because Eternatus needs to have Eternatus out. That's kind of the point. Do remember VMAX's counters these. And then we've got Crobat, which you need to be playing so that you can draw, etc. And to be honest with you, right, you only need your opponent to have 3 Pokemon Vs. You'll do 180, double with weakness, 360, that's it, you're good. Yeah. There are other decks which are going to be a little bit more, we don't quite know. So take Urshifu, yeah, fine, there are going to be some Pokemon Vs in play, but we don't know how many. Some people, most people to be fair, are still going to be playing Crobat V post-rotation. And to be fair, rotation is really where we're looking here, because pre-rotation, Dedenne can easily replace Crobat. And you've got a whole bunch of GX-focused decks. It's too awkward. Post-rotation, we're expecting the big decks to be Zacian V, Victini VMAX, Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. We are expecting lots of Pokemon V-focused decks. And here, for just 2 colorless energy, you're hitting decent damage. And it escalates really, really quickly. So they've got 2 Pokemon Vs, you do 120, 3 you do 180, 4 you do 240, 5 you do 300, and if their bench is full, if they've got 6 Pokemon Vs out, you're doing 360, which incidentally is enough to KO anything right now, outside of weird, properly tanky, reducing damage, blocking attacks things. So you know what? This is kind of big, ladies and gentlemen. And I know that it's not always going to be that simple, all right? I am fully aware that it is not going to be a case whereby you drop this down and just instantly start KOing everything. I completely understand that. But I also know that not everybody is going to be able to avoid this. Not everybody is going to be in a position where they can just not play Pokemon Vs, and that is where Gallade starts absolutely cleaning up here and starts looking like a really, really good Pokemon indeed. Yes, it's partly dependent on how your opponent plays, and it is important to note that there are going to be some games where you're just playing against a deck that isn't playing Pokemon Vs, and there's not really much you can do about it. But it doesn't need to be your only Pokemon, because let's go back to Gardevoir for a moment. Because you see, Gardevoir's got that amazing ability whereby you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, any that are basic energy you can attach to your opponent in any way that you like. Bearing in mind, of course, that if you hit 2, that will pay Gallade. If you hit 1, your attachment for the turn will pay. And then you've got an attack that comes in for pretty huge damage as well. It does 60 damage plus 30 more for each Psychic Energy on Gardevoir. So you pile energy on, potentially using Gardevoir's ability, and then you've got a really nice Psychic type attacker, which again is hitting a really good weakness. So between them, you've got 2 really good attackers covering a couple of different weaknesses, and you've got a draw engine and some energy acceleration as well. For what it's worth, we should mention that Gallade can use Twin Energy in addition to basic Psychic, but Yeah. This is good. And when you start building in Kirlia as well for your early game consistency, things start looking really, really nice really, really quickly. I think when you put this all together, I'm giving it the same score I gave Gardevoir. I'm giving it 5 Wassies. I think this is a genuinely legitimate deck. And look, it doesn't have to be Gardevoir Gallade. It can be Gardevoir with something else. It can be Gallade with something else. It can be the pair of them with something else. There are many different ways to play it, but the potential is off the charts. Please do remember, though, that although Gardevoir and Gallade are different Pokemon, and you can play 4 of each of them, they both evolve from Routes and Kirlia, of which you can only play 4 each. So you are going to be running into some issues if you don't have any backup Pokemon. But Draw Engine, Energy Acceleration, Low Cost Attack, getting good weaknesses. I mean, there's so much going on here. I, for one, am very excited indeed. But I'd like to know how you feel about it. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.